You ever see someone get dismissed so casually, so coldly, you almost feel it in your bones, like you're standing right there, invisible? That's exactly what happened to Amara Lewis. That Tuesday morning, she reached out her hand, polite, steady, expecting at least a nod, maybe a stiff smile if nothing else, and Rebecca Langston just turned away. No handshake, no eye contact, not even a flicker of recognition. Just this quiet, humiliating little pause, the kind that tells you who thinks they own the room. I mean, if you blinked, you'd miss it, but when you see it, man, you know exactly what it means. But here's the twist, and it's a big one. Amara Lewis was the reason that entire billion-dollar project even existed. The money, the momentum, the silent trust behind closed doors, it was all hers. The whole empire built on shiny press releases and perfect smiles was actually standing on a foundation she'd poured herself, quietly, anonymously, never once asking for the spotlight. You know what I mean? Sometimes the person you least expect is the one holding all the cards. See, Amara wasn't interested in applause. She didn't need interviews or magazine covers or some fancy title on a gold-plated door. Her power moved in whispers, closed meetings, confidential calls, those late-night emails where whole industries get reshaped. She'd spent a lifetime being underestimated, and she'd learned to make it work for her. When she chose to bankroll Langston's $5 billion energy project, she did it with a single condition: no board seat, no oversight, just quiet results. Most people never even learn her name. But that morning, for reasons even Amara can't explain, she agreed to one little executive brunch. Maybe it was curiosity, maybe just professionalism, maybe a sliver of hope for real respect. She dressed the part. Navy suit, understated jewelry, the kind of presence that says, "I belong here, whether you see it or not." And as she stepped into the sunlit boardroom, she knew exactly who she'd be meeting. Rebecca Langston, golden hair, dazzling smile, the kind of billionaire whose photo always lands on page one. Rebecca was used to walking into rooms and knowing everyone wanted to shake her hand. She'd built her empire on charm, old money, and an air of untouchable confidence. That day, she was surrounded by her people, lawyers, advisors, a couple of Ivy League yes-men, all there to celebrate the latest visionary milestone. And then, in front of all those eyes, Amara stepped forward, extended her hand. And Rebecca just looked her up and down, lips pressed in that careful way rich folks do when they're sizing you up, and turn away. Not a word, not a glance, just nothing. Then she shook hands with the two white men standing beside Amara, laughed at something one of them said, and moved on like Amara had never existed. It was quick, almost too subtle to be cruel, but everyone saw it. Some people shifted in their seats, others suddenly found their phones fascinating. No one said a damn thing. And Amara? She just lowered her hand, gave a little nod, and smiled not out of weakness, but out of calculation. Inside, she was already working out her next move. Let me back up a sec, because the Rayall story started before that room even cleared. See, there was a clause buried deep in the project's legal documents, one that gave any major investor the right to pull funding within 24 hours, no explanation needed, no penalties attached. Hardly anyone remembered it, except maybe one sharp-eyed lawyer who'd always thought it was just for show. But that afternoon, word started to spread. Something had triggered the clause. Someone big was about to walk. Rebecca was oblivious, too busy giving interviews and soaking up praise for her so-called legacy. Meanwhile, the brunch video, someone caught on their phone, started making the rounds online. A black woman, completely snubbed by the billionaire at her own event. Did she even know who she just ignored? People argued, speculated, but by sunset, the verdict was clear. That wasn't just rude, that was dangerous. Overnight, Amara made her decision. Not only was she pulling every dollar, but she wanted the reason known. The board got a curt, professional email. Funding withdrawn due to executive misconduct and unacceptable treatment of key personnel. Within minutes, phones rang off the hook. Stocks dipped. Panic in every corner office. Rebecca's PR team scrambled statements, apologies, frantic phone calls, but nothing could plug the hole. Because for the first time, They all realized who they just lost. And then someone, maybe an assistant, maybe a board member, leaned over and whispered to Rebecca, "That woman? She was your silent backer." The color drained from Rebecca's face, her hands trembling just enough for the whole boardroom to notice. The financial officer read out the numbers in a voice that sounded almost funereal. Effective immediately, $2 billion withdrawn. Additional partners reviewing exit clauses. The room was dead silent, except for the sound of reputation collapsing brick by brick. Rebecca tried to recover, you have to give her that. Press conferences, teary-eyed apologies, even a staged lunch at a diversity conference. But the damage was done. Amara didn't need to say a word. Her silence echoed louder than any headline. She simply shifted her investments to a rival firm, one that knew better than to judge a woman by her skin or her seat at the table. That's when the twist hit. An old friend of Amara's, a retired engineer who'd once lost everything to a predatory deal, suddenly found himself in charge of a new, even bigger project. Amara had quietly backed him, too. Now, while Rebecca's empire crumbled, a new team was rising, built on respect, humility, and the kind of loyalty that only come from seeing each other for who you truly are. By the end of that week, the story was everywhere. Commentators debated who was right, who was wrong, whether one bad handshake should kill a billion-dollar dream. But the real message was impossible to ignore. Power doesn't always look the way you expect, and respect is never optional. Not anymore. The final scene? Imagine Rebecca sitting alone in her glass office, staring out over a skyline she thought she'd own forever, her phone lighting up with news alerts, her empire slipping away one lost contract at a time. Down the street, Amara walks into a small, crowded cafe, no cameras, no press, just a few close friends and a quiet smile. She raises a cup of coffee, makes a silent toast, and the world keeps turning. But tell me, what do you think? Did justice win out? Or did a moment's arrogance cost more than it should? Does respect really matter in the world of big money? Or is it all just PR until someone loses? I want to hear your stories, your city, your take. Drop it in the comments below. Let's talk about power, justice, and what happens when we finally see each other for who we are.
Xin chào các bạn, mình là Trinh, mình phụ trách viết content. Trên đây là những công việc của mình, là mình lên mạng xã hội tìm hiểu những video.
It is cold, yeah. Next one? Alright. Thank you, man. Hey, if you guys have any trouble, let somebody know. Please.
After the tree to hold on to. Yeah.
Yeah, use the fence.